Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Lisa's Coloring Corner. This is the most current book, the latest book that came out by Sachen Sachdeva. And I'd like to thank him for sending me his latest book. This is another one of the Mosaic Art books. This one is called Inside Home. His first one was called Sea Creatures. I did do a flip through of this one. It is in my flip throughs playlist if you want to see this one. Also, I will link both of these books down below in the description if you'd like to see them. Okay, let's take a look at this one, and then I'm going to kind of do a little bit of comparison between this second one and this first one because there are some differences. So here we have the title page and our nameplate page. Now, you can see I did a few of these already. I wanted to test some different coloring mediums and ways to do it in this book before I showed it on my channel. So here is a list of some of his other books that are all available on Amazon. Here it talks about the books, the Mosaic Art books. They're color by number. They all have 21 colors in their color palette. So here it lists all of your colors. Now this is a little bit different than the previous book. As you can see, the colors are different. Okay, so that's one difference between these two books. Okay, and it does say you can try the cross-stitch method, which we are all familiar with from the Velba family books. And you know I love the cross-stitch method, so we'll see how each turns out. Here is my first one that I did. This is the same picture as what is on the cover. Now, I colored this one with my Copics, matched up the colors. Now, that's another difference between this book and the first book. This book follows the same color palette throughout every single picture, which, you know me, I love that. Whereas in the first book, if you look down here, and the color palette is at the bottom, where here it is on the opposite side, which I also like that. But you're going to see the numbers for 1, 2, 3, 4 are different on each page. So for instance, here, number 1 is green, gray, 2 is brown. Here, number 1 is yellow, 2 is brown, blue, pink. You know, so there are some differences from page to page. They're not all the same. Okay, another difference, which, yeah, love the fact that they're all the same, and I hope any future books that he comes out with follows this same color palette throughout the entire book, and any future books he does. So yeah, I did this one with Copics. I wanted to see how alcohol markers would work on here, and yes, you do get a little bit of bleeding of alcohol markers, especially on this Amazon paper. So you do have to be a little bit mindful of that. You don't go right up to the line or it'll spread over, but you do get used to it as you color the page. And if you've worked with alcohol markers at all, you know some colors bleed over more than others. For some reason, I find that the black in all my sets do not bleed at all. I don't know what it is about the black ink, but I've never had a problem with black spreading, which is nice considering it's the darkest color out of them all. Some of the other colors bled more than others, like orange did bleed quite a bit. So you just got to play around with your particular markers. So again, that one was done with Copics. This one I did with my Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers. Isn't that cute? She's taking a bubble bath. And yet the water's coming down out of the shower, it looks like. So even though these have the larger squares, so they're much easier to color, they are, you know, so that therefore they are very pixelated pictures, right? Just, I believe the squares are about the same size as what are in the Mystery Mosaics coloring books that we all know and love. So I wasn't sure if the X method was really going to work in here, so I wasn't even going to try it. The Illustrator markers, now both of these, my Copics, I do not have a chisel end on mine. I have the brush tip, and I replaced the chisel tips with the fine nib. So I colored this with the fine nib. I found that less ink comes out of the fine nib than the brush, and I had much less bleeding and spreading of the ink. Here too, the Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers, which is why I love them so much, has a really nice brush tip, and on the opposite end is a really nice fine bullet tip. And again, I used the bullet tip on here, worked great. Really, really had a good time with this picture. And I ruined it. I ruined it. Forgot to put a sheet behind that page when I colored it. But I am going to salvage this. I am going to color this one maybe with Copics, and you're probably going to see some of it through it, you know, from what bled on. But I am going to color it. But I did want to try out some water-based markers. So I got out my Tombows because I haven't colored with my Tombows for quite a while. And the water-based markers work great in here too. You do get a little bit of rippling of the paper. It's just nature of the beast, you know, with your water-based mediums. But you don't have that spreading of the ink like you do with the alcohol markers. There is a little bit of streaking. I made sure, you know, I didn't color big swatches anywhere. I colored them square by square so I wouldn't get too much streaking, and I think it turned out great. I was able to match up colors from all three of these sets because the palettes are not that, you know, big. And you don't have to match them up exactly. Like my colors do not match this. I picked a brown, one that was maybe on the reddish brown side and then a lighter, but you pick a dark, a medium, and a light basically. And that's pretty much what I did. So yeah, got that one done with the Tombows. And then I thought, well, yeah, let's go ahead and try one with the cross-stitch method. So, you know, the Tombows have that really nice long brush tip, right? And that is what I used on here. But it also, if you use the opposite end, it's got that fine bullet tip, but yet not as fine as a fine liner, which I wouldn't want to use a fine liner on here, again, because of these larger squares. And they're so pixelated already. I didn't feel, in my opinion anyhow, that a fine liner really would have worked in here like the small squares of the Belba family. The fine liners work fantastic. So I thought, well, let's use the bullet tip of the Tombows and let's try the cross-stitch method. And I think it turned out pretty cute. Now, again, these pictures are really pixelated because of the large squares, and even as you're coloring them, as you're getting completed with the picture, because you're up so close as you're coloring it, it's still hard to kind of make out the picture until you sit back and you look at it. And especially now through the camera, I can really make out the picture. You know, I can really see what the picture is. As you're coloring this, it's kind of hard to see it. This one, even though I had a fantastic time doing it, and it goes much, much faster than coloring them in solid, I don't think I'm going to be doing any more cross-stitch methods, the cross-stitch method in this book with the larger squares. I just don't think the picture is visible enough. You can see this. It looks like a grandma and a grandpa, you know, in their rocking chairs with a window back here. So you can make the picture out. I just don't know if it's visible enough when you have these bigger squares. And that's just my opinion. And I don't think, therefore, I would try I was debating whether to try the cross-stitch method in a Mystery Mosaic book, but I don't think I'm going to. Now, Another difference between this book and the first book, and that's why I think they mention that you can do the cross stitch method in here, or the X method, is because they didn't use any half square. They don't have any that have half squares with the diagonal in. And I know some people don't like that, some people do. In this first book, he did. And yeah, another one I ruined. If you look and see, some of these squares are split in half. Let me zoom you in, and I don't know if you're familiar with this at all. Okay, I gifted up. It's moving on me. Okay, hit the focus instead. Let me get you back clearer. Okay, we're getting there. There we go. Okay. Now, if you, again, you look at this closely, you can see where there are half squares. You know, there's a diagonal, and then there's two colors in that square. That is actually kind of nice when you're coloring a picture that has this large of squares. Because as you can see, the picture is not near as pixelated because you can make the curves and stuff, you know, the edges much nicer when you're only using the half square. So I think in my opinion, again, I think when you're using squares of this size, I think using the half square where you split it in half, you know, with two colors, I think works really well. And yeah, I think the pictures come out much cleaner when you're using the half squares than when you don't. And again, the mystery mosaic books do also use the half squares. But these are cute. And I think these would be much easier for kids, but they are also really, really fun for us adults. So I had a really, really good time with these pictures. So yeah, I am going to go back and salvage that one picture. But again, that is kind of the difference between the first volume and now this second volume. They are just adorable, and I want to color some more in here. Now, the only thing I was wondering is, Sachen, are you interested in making any books with the small 3x3 squares? That would be awesome. I know some of you don't like those teeny tiny squares. I absolutely love them because I do this cross stitch method in those, and there's so much detail that you can pack into a picture when you have those small squares. I'm not really sure how many millimeter, you know, what the size of these squares are versus the other squares. We know Belba families are 3x3 millimeter, so I don't know if these are maybe like double the size. I don't know if they're like 6x6, 7x7. I really don't know, and I don't think it states anywhere. So, but yeah, that would be one question that I'd have for him. I, you know, definitely don't think he should stop making these because I know a lot of you do enjoy the larger squares also. So, just an idea, because, yeah, there are some of us that prefer the other way, too, with the smaller squares. So, best of both worlds, right? So, it's not going to pay to, you know, do a flip through of this. The other thing you're going to notice different is there is a black border around here. It kind of makes it look like a frame, you know, makes it look like it's framed. The one thing that I found as I was coloring this, I kept feeling like my corner of my page was flipped up as I was like coloring this one. Yeah, I kept feeling like, yeah, the corner was flipped up, but you can see why he did that. I think it looks kind of neat. Makes it look like it's in a box, it's framed, you know. So yeah, kind of neat. So we have again 20, was it 25? Let me double check. I believe that's what it was. 25 pictures. Yes, 25 illustrations of cozy places in a house. Okay, so we have the 25 pictures. Again, as normal, single-sided with the black on the reverse. Then you get to the back of the book. And here's our thank you page asking, you know, if you would kindly leave any feedback on Amazon, or if you'd like to reach out to him. He has his email in here. Then talks about his Facebook group where he has freebies, new book launches, and all the other updates. He is also giving away a free 32 coloring page PDF. Here is the website for that, if you'd like to jot that down. Let me zoom in a little. If you would like to try out some of his illustrations and see if you would like to, you know, maybe purchase one of his books. This is what is all in that. So it's from the best-selling Doodle in Color series. So it's all 8 of these books, and I think I have a few of them. Okay, let's zoom back out. And then at the back of the page, he has a bunch of color chart sheets. So you can write what medium you're coloring with and the brand name. So if it's alcohol marker and Copic, and, you know, maybe you want to jot it down, like go through the colors like what I do. Write down all 21 colors and jot down what color you used out of that particular brand. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and do I hear 5? You have 5 different color chart sheets in here, which is really, really nice. Or if you just want to, you know, swatch out and test, you know, to see if it's going to match or not, you do also have a blank sheet at the back if you just want to do a little bit of testing before you actually commit them to the chart itself. So handy. Also, if you don't have a scrap sheet of paper handy, you can use this one. So that is the book. Here is the reverse, gives you some of the samples. This is one that I had done. So yeah, really cute, beautiful colors, nice, bright, vibrant colors in both of these books. So yeah, both, like I said, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So again, this is Mosaic Art, the Inside Home volume. And again, this is by Sachen Sachdeva. And I will link both of these down below in the description. So I hope you enjoyed seeing his latest book. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new to my channel. I hope everybody's having a great day. And as always, happy coloring. Bye, guys.